Hello guys and welcome to Infinite Transcendence. Today we're going to talk about a very specific topic, a special topic about the life script. Now, what is a life script? Well, the life script is something we've all heard before. Go to school, go to work, get married, have kids, and die. The script we're all supposed to follow, not question. We're all supposed to just do it because that's what you're supposed to do. Is what most people do, at least to some extent, and that's what they've been told. And anybody who drifts from this, anybody who deviates from the norm is automatically seen as an odd case, as an oddball, that there's something wrong with them. We're going to discuss why that's a problem. Now let's deconstruct this. Why is this a problem? Well, let's start with the going to school thing. Nowadays, school is extraordinarily expensive. Once you get out of high school, which generally you don't have a choice in regards to that, yes, you just have to finish the high school. But once you get into college, it's pretty much seen as mandatory that you go. But student loan debt has popped over $1 trillion some years ago. It's probably about 1.5, 1.6 trillion. You spend years and years of your time in school, which is massive opportunity cost. In many cases, you're taking classes you do not need, a bunch of filler classes, a bunch of filler courses, just to pad the wallets of these admin groups and these other agencies and the government, which gets votes from this. And it's a huge cost. I mean, kids are in tens of thousands of dollars of debt, and you can't even discharge them in bankruptcy. So essentially, you have a mortgage with no house, and the college degrees are so common nowadays that they don't mean as much. So now you have to get a higher level degree and a higher level degree and a higher level degree. So you end up getting a less return on your same investment than you would have gotten in the past. So, and now, are there some people who do benefit from going to school? Sure. If you want to be an academic, perhaps you want to be a doctor or some field like that, then it may be worth your time to go to school and fill up and go to get that degree. But for most people, I think you're better off working and learning some skills and find out what you really want to do. Maybe going to vocational school, maybe going to a 2-year school, or just saving and working your way up and buying things without having to rack up all that debt. Because you look at it this way, if you would have, saved, lived at home for a while, worked at a job, saved up a few years, you bought yourself a used car, got yourself an apartment, you could have moved out and lived on your own and had a lot of money put away to invest or do other things with. So it's all a massive opportunity cost. So you absolutely do not have to go to school. And what's next on the list? Of course, the job, the job, the thing you're supposed to do, that you're expected to do, that everybody needs to do to get through life. You got to get a job because you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the mortgage, you got to pay the card note, you got to pay the loan, the student loans that you racked up through all those years. You got to pay for dinners and dates with girls if you're a guy, and you got to pay for things you want in life. You want things, you got to get a job. That's what you're told, and it's understandable why people are told this to an extent. I mean, hey, rather you work than not sit around and not work and live off of others, definitely. But again, a job you're basically, the opportunity cost is immense. You're trading your future, you're trading your today for a promised future that may not be there. In a lot of these cases, a job is not. There's definitely no guarantee to a job. It's definitely low risk to start out in the beginning because you don't have to bring anything to the table. You don't have to put up any collateral, no capital, no nothing. But in the long run, you can't really leverage money and time at a job. You can't make yourself. You can't. What's the word? You can't duplicate yourself. You can't automate. You can't make it so you can work. You can't have that passive income that you can make when you're running a business or investing. And that's the goal you want in life, at least if you want freedom, is to make it so you don't have to be around money, to be at the place or working at the job to make money. You want the money working for you. You want the money working when you're not working, when you're asleep, when you're traveling, when you're on vacation. And you can't get that at a job. If you have a job, you're basically enslaved to that job, not literally, but just in terms of time. You work 5 days, you get 2 days off. So you give up 5 days of your life to have 2 days of enjoyment. And what do people do with that enjoyment time? They're out racking up debt, buying things, buying consumer junk and things like that. So the goal is to get away from that and make it so you have more freedom in life and you can do the things you want to do. You want to build wealth and retire young when you're healthy and vibrant, or at least have the option and freedom to make money and be still on the go and not just be at a job for 40 years living a life of mediocrity to get debt free. And let's go into the next part of life script, getting a house. A house is one of the biggest forms of slavery you can get into. And the biggest disappointment about it is that people have such a huge misconception about it. People think a house is an investment. A house is this, is an asset. It's an asset for the bank. It's not an investment for the bank. The only way a house is an investment for an individual is if you're renting it out or if you're flipping it, which is really trading and speculating. That's something totally different. If you're buying a house and you're living inside and you're paying the expenses and paying for the upkeep and paying for the maintenance and paying for the rent of the mortgage, it's an expense, just like a car. You're consuming it. It's a consumption item. It is not an investment. You're consuming it and spending money on it, and it depreciates over time. Now, are there government subsidies and government this and interest deductions and things like that are basically wealth transfers for people who are not homeowners, people who are homeowners? Yes, and those shouldn't be there. But at the end of the day, it drives up the artificial demand of housing, which makes housing more expensive. And you also lose mobility, you lose freedom, you lose things like that. And who are the people who believe in this part of the script? It's the middle class, the working class, and the poor, the ones who really should have that flexibility and mobility to move around the way they please and do what they want, but they sacrifice it because they want to have a house, because a house is like a status symbol of the middle class. It's a sign that you're an adult, that you've made it, which couldn't be further from the truth because, if you're living alone, or you're living alone, but if you're renting, the food tastes the same, the house is the same, the bed feels the same. You can have friends over, you can have girls over, or whoever over. You can have a significant other over. You can have the same enjoyment, the same fulfillment, with less of the headaches, with less of the cost. And there are people who are successful who still rent because they want to have that flexibility and that freedom without the upkeep. They want to be able to uproot themselves and move if need be. They don't want to be tied down to a house. What if the market declines? What if the house goes underwater? What if you want to get up and move? What if there's a new opportunity? What if you just get tired of where you live? Now you got to try to put the house up for market. What if it takes years to sell? I know a lot of people who houses take years. I have a lot of customers who are trying to sell their homes and still can't do it. They have to sell at a fire sale price. There's no need to lock yourself down and tie yourself down to a house. Now, if you truly want a house, and to you is something, if you look at it as, look, I want this house because I want to enjoy owning a home. I want to be able to design it the way I want, to be able to paint it the way I want. That's fine. But just keep in mind it's a luxury and not a necessity. And not to mention, even if you do own the home, if you don't pay property taxes, that home is gone. So you don't even own the home. You just own, you control the real estate. You own the home, but you don't own the land on it. And if you don't pay the property taxes, the government seizes it. So you still don't really truly own it. Who owns it? The bank owns it. You have a mortgage, an engagement until death. And most people, they have a house, they move, they have their debt, and they have to get another house. These people are paying for homes until they drop dead. They don't ever really truly own anything. So that's another misconception people have to get past. The next part of life script is marriage. This is one of the biggest things we're told we're supposed to do. This is one of the biggest, most important part of our lives, or so we're told. You got to get married. You got to have a family. You got to settle down. If you don't do it, there's something wrong with you. You're going to be a spinster. You're going to be a loser, or you're just a selfish playboy who doesn't want to settle down. But in reality, is it something you actually need to do? Is it part of life that you just have to mark off the checklist even if you're unhappy? Well, no. There's several reasons for that. For one thing, it's just nowadays with modern times, modern technology, ability for both people to enter the workforce, the way the laws work and the way the system works and divorce works and the high divorce rate, it just makes it much more unfavorable, and there's fewer and fewer benefits. And what you'll find if you're aiming for success, and I imagine if you're on this blog, you're aiming to succeed, especially as a man, the more and more you have, the less and less you gain. Right? Women generally gain more. Of course, the laws benefit them. But as a guy, the more you have and the more freedom you enjoy and the more resources you have to give up more and more to get less and less. Whereas a guy who has fewer options is going to look better for him, but even then he can still have a roommate. A lot of the benefits you get being married, of course, you can get being unmarried, but then again, you can enjoy, like my preference, you can enjoy your freedom and get out and meet new people and see new things and travel around the world and do all those things without being tied down to that albatross of a marriage contract. So it's why take the risk and get fewer benefits. There's no need to get married nowadays at all. Even if you sign a prenup, you still have to give up something, and those can be thrown out. So you definitely don't need to be married at all. You don't need to be tied down to something. If you love, whatever that word means, if you love someone, you can love them without being married. So that's all just hogwash. So definitely don't need to be married. And of course, with marriage comes along children. You gotta have kids. Kids are the best thing ever. Kids make you happy. Life's all about you got to have your offspring. You got to reproduce. You got to fulfill. A lot of people who say these things, people who didn't bother making their own life good, so they have to have kids and hope those kids' lives turn out good so they can have some semblance of success in their own life. Clearly, you don't need to have kids, and what matters after you're dead isn't going to matter to you anyways. Now, if you want to have children, that's fine. If you just truly desire, but don't feel like you need to do it, because children also are a huge time cost, a huge energy cost, a huge freedom cost. A lot of people don't even bother raising their kids properly. Many people just have the kids, and once they have the wedding and this ceremony and a baby shower and all those things. It just becomes like a normal day-to-day burden. And the studies already show that people who have kids often feel more depressed and it puts a lot of strain in their marriage. A lot of times, the best part of the kids is when they leave the house. So definitely don't feel like you need to do that. You can always adopt. You don't have to reproduce yourself. Now I know especially women have that biological urge and desire to have kids, but don't feel like you just have to have it to prove something to somebody else. Live your life on your own terms and do what you feel you need to do. Don't do it because others tell you to do it. So kids, instead of looking at, a lot of people also have kids, of course, because they want somebody to take care of them when they get old, or they want money, or they want to lock a person into a relationship. But you can't depend on others to take you when you get old. You need to take care of yourself when you get old, because you don't know what happens. Your kid could get sick, your kid could die, you might just have a falling out with your kid. So all those reasons are silly. Live your life on your own terms and enjoy your own freedom, and live life the way you want to live it, and not how others tell you to live it. And with that said, definitely do not follow the life script. The life script is not necessary. The life script is something you want to avoid. If you're here, we shun the life script. I shun it. And it's something you should shun too. Your life should be based on your own script that you make, and you grow and you change through experiences and knowledge, not through what somebody else tells you to do. Because if you live like everybody else, you're going to be like everybody else. And if you're here, you definitely don't want to be like everybody else. And this is Infinite Transcendence. I'm the Sea Master, and thanks for listening.